Okay, what we've been talking about is the importance of using mind maps when we are reading across several texts. And what we did for our text set on volcanoes, what was the first thing that we did, Carson? We looked at the prompt. We looked at the directions. We read the directions to make sure that we understood what they were asking us to do. What exactly are they asking us to do with this text set, Alexander?
They tell us to make an explanatory essay on how volcanoes can affect people's lives.
Okay, so they're asking us to write an explanatory essay that explains or provides information on how volcanoes affect people's lives. And Micah, what did we come up with for a thesis statement?
People's lives can be affected by volcanoes.
Okay, so people's lives can be
affected by volcanoes.
And it's affected with an A, guys. That's the verb. And so the idea is to read our text set with this lens. The information that is important to pay attention to is the information that tells you how a volcano can impact somebody's life. How can it impact somebody's life? What were one of the main ideas that you encountered when you were reading, Nicholas?
Volcanoes affect people's lives because they are destructive.
Destructive. So when you were reading, you got information about the destructive nature of volcanoes, and you can come up with a main idea sentence by saying, could you repeat that, Nicholas?
Volcanoes affect people's lives because they are destructive.
So volcanoes affect people's lives because they are destructive. What are some of the ways that volcanoes are destructive? What are some of the ways that they are destructive? Think about what you read. Because remember, when we're looking at a text set, we want to prove that we have read the material. We're not trying to pull from our own experience. Okay? We're not trying to pull from the own information that we know about volcanoes. That can come through elaboration later on. But you want to prove how are volcanoes destructive?
They destroy neighborhoods.
They destroy neighborhoods. What else did you read about? Sophia? They destroy roads. Carter?
They destroy homes.
They destroy homes and schools.
They destroy trees in the environment.
Trees in the environment, the forests. What else?
They once killed 79 people in the world.
But is that talking about destruction?
They destroyed roads.
Okay, we already got that.
Oh, yeah.
So can you see why you have to make sure you stay with your main idea? All right, did anybody come up with another main idea as they were reading? Another main idea. Micah?
Volcanoes can be exciting to watch for some people in other parts of the world.
Okay, how does that affect your life? I'm just asking. Because that's what we're doing. How does it affect your life?
It can give you an It can give you a memory that can be very exciting.
Okay, all right. It can give you an exciting memory. I'm trying to think, is there any, so that's one detail about, what did you read in the text that gives you that detail?
In paragraph 16.
What did it talk about?
It talked about people not being alarmed and throwing parties.
Okay, so like a celebration or an entertainment factor to affect your life. Was there a lot of details that you could talk about in your body paragraph?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's put that into a main idea sentence. Okay, I'm going to put it up here. Volcanoes. Help me out here.
Volcanoes can give you an exciting moment.
Okay, volcanoes can provide people with exciting moments. Aiden, would you close that door? And I will go ahead and put this also into a box for main idea. All right, anybody come up with another main idea?
That volcanoes can be very dangerous.
Okay. Give me some of the details that you read about that demonstrate the dangerous nature of a volcano. What were some of the things that they talked about in the text set that made a volcano dangerous?
Kilauea's 2008 eruptions were exciting, but they were also very dangerous. The eruptions released high levels of sulfur dioxide gas into the air. This gas could present a serious health risk for people with breathing problems.
Okay, all right, so what you're talking to, the details you're pointing to, the dangerous nature. What part of your life does the dangerous nature affect? What part of a person's life?
Your health.
Your health, okay. So let's put that one down here. Volcanoes can affect people's lives because they are a health risk. All right, during your reading, did you discover that aspect of it? We talked about it being a health risk for people with breathing problems. Does anybody have anything to add to how it can be a health risk?
It killed 72 people.
Okay, certainly death is a health risk, right? So you could talk about the fact that it affects people with breathing problems. It can kill people. Okay, I always think about Pompeii. I actually was able to tour Pompeii, and those people, they didn't die because of lava. They died because of the toxic gases. They actually suffocated. They suffocated because the toxic gases that were released during the eruption of Mount Vesuvius cut them off from the oxygen that they needed in order to breathe. Okay? Anybody else come up with another main idea as you were reading, Olivia?
Some people have to evacuate.
Okay, evacuating. Okay, that's a really good point to make. I think evacuating and the thinking of having to evacuate. Okay, what part of your life does that affect? What part of your life does that affect?
Your home and your friends and your social life.
Okay, it can affect your social life, definitely. Okay, so it affects your home, it affects your friends. What are some of the details that you read about during the reading that point to that?
It was one of them. I thought was paragraph 4. It said, I can't read the town, but it said some residents had to evacuate.
Some residents had to evacuate, right? And remember, we know we can make a connection to evacuating because of a hurricane. Okay, we know how difficult that could be. Could you please come away from that? Thank you. All right, so let's try to see how we could put this into a sentence. If we think about all of the details that we were given about how volcanoes can cause evacuations, as Sawyer said, can make somebody have to worry about their social life. They also talked about roads being closed, schools being closed. Remember that, I think it was 4 months. If you look at the first article, it starts off by talking about somebody's school has been closed since November, I think it was. What was it, November? And then if you look at when the article was written, you can see that about 4 months has passed. So his school's been closed for 4 months, and he's been going to school in a trailer. Okay? So when we think about, to me, that sounds like that they are very disruptive. They disrupt your regular life. Thumbs up if you agree with that. Okay? So we could kind of group all of those little details into that one main idea, that volcanoes can affect people's life because they are disruptive. They disrupt your normal, everyday routines. You might have to go to work by a different way or go to school by a different way because a road is closed. You might have to go to a different school altogether. You might have to evacuate at a moment's notice, although typically lava flows are slow, and so they have a little bit of advanced notice of that. Okay, so look down at your mind map that you have. Any main ideas that we didn't talk about? Nicholas?
Volcanoes affect people's lives because they are helpful.
They are helpful.
Yeah, they made islands. So,
Oh, so you're pointing to the,
they made Hawaii.
oh, okay, you're referring to the fact that volcanoes created like the Hawaiian Islands, and, okay. Well, that's not going to sound right. Volcanoes can be helpful. Okay, so volcanoes can be helpful. And you would talk about the section where they talked about the fact that volcanoes can actually create land. Now, we're not going to go back through the text because we don't have time, but hopefully you have written down paragraph numbers. And remember what we talked about. Instead of, because the idea would be to jot down little details, but what I'm finding when I'm looking at your planning sheets is that a lot of you are copying big, long pieces of text here, and it's time consuming. You copy it here, and then you copy it into your essay, and it's eating up a lot of your time. Some of you are getting nervous about the amount of time that you have, and so I want to make sure that you put down the paragraph number underneath the main idea where it goes, where you would talk about it, and that you would then go back and underline the important things, identify them, so that you could use them when you're writing your plan. Now, how many main ideas do we have up here? 5. How many do we need?
3.
Okay, so how are we going to decide which 3 we want to use? What is a good measure, Zachary?
The ones that have more detail to them.
Absolutely. So you want to think about, Nicholas, go ahead and go back to your seat for me, please. You want to think about the fact that you want to choose the main ideas that have the largest amount of details. If you only find one detail, that should be a flag for you, that's not going to be a good main idea for you to write about. Okay? So if you came up with your mind map and your mind map said something like, volcanoes can affect people's lives because they have to change schools, there's one detail about that. That would be something you would say, well, I can't, that's more of a detail, it's not a main idea. Maybe I need to make that idea bigger. Okay? Does everybody understand? Could you come away from the table for me, please? Thank you. Any questions about this before we end? Okay, so I would choose 3 that I would be interested in doing it, and then I would just go ahead and decide which ones I don't want to talk about. Okay, and just focus on the ones I do want to talk about. And remember that underneath our boxes go our bullets with our paragraph numbers. Okay, please very carefully, without bumping the table, please go ahead and make your way back to your seats.